might be open. As long as we're cool on what they're doing, but it's like.
Just go out,
Yeah. Attorneys, because you get several every divorce has a sale, has a real estate sale, and creates two potential real estate buyers, one of which at least has cash. You know what I mean? It's so somebody's got a down payment, you got two with needs, and you know, and so it's like, it's the same people, right?
It's what I say every Tuesday. Lunch hour.
She's never gonna get there, you know, that type of thing. Their credit's going down. That's a great relationship, great rebuild company, you know. It's all about the other side of it. What do you think? As far as these, I'll go ahead and sign that. But you might want to see how much you're spending. See how much you're yeah.
and then after that,
Now you know the back end to end.
Yep.
That's, you know, that's like I say, there are so many.
the other one that I heard you know
When you get your that's kind of like
Oh, so is it really? Maybe like
cleaning and
Maybe we were in the office.
Are you doing every chair?
Yeah, we usually fill it up, the room.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe because of the spring break. Yeah, my kids are on spring break. Are your kids?
My son is a senior down in Utah County in Maple Mountain.
Are they? Oh, they're okay. My sister and brother went to Spanish court. But yeah.
That's what I understand.
Yeah, you and me both.
I've been around with a couple of lawyers. Just trying to get.
Yeah, we're doing it. Are you doing it? The numbers that matter is Cool. Every month, that's what you're supposed to do. The consistency, right, is key.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, right?
Like you don't even, sorry.
Then we got this thing today.
How well did you
Well, I just never created
With all the vicissitudes that go with it.
You know what I mean?
I'm glad I don't have to sell this place today.
I never understood.
like, I'm just gonna daydream. But
Never been in my
Similar, you have lots of kids.
I'm a teacher, so I would have picked the front row.
Serving like. I don't know what happened. Snacks?
You'd be business class. I've never been on a flight with cheese.
Welcome to the meeting. I'm so glad that we're back here at Fort Union. Liza is out of town and she asked me to host this meeting. She's an MC. I've never MC'd anything in my life. You can't hear me? Yeah.
Oh, 1 second, please.
Yeah,
Is
that's
this any
better.
better?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. I'm so happy to be here. So let's sign in, if you guys haven't signed in. I heard that Liza's gonna buy the #1 like attendee a car at the end of the year or something like that. So ask her about an insurance. I think I'm gonna get a Porsche. So we'll leave that up for a couple more seconds. Can you guys, should I be right here? I'm being so awkward.
Wherever you want.
Okay. You guys got it? Anyone need more time? Okay.
There we go.
Gratitude time. Who is grateful? I'm so great. I love all of you.
Hey, I'm so grateful to be alive.
Woo!
Okay? Just want to say it, and thankful for a great big truck that keep the deer and not us.
Yes. Truck's dead, by the way.
We are alive.
Brand new truck, 6 days old.
This is loud. I am grateful for carbon monoxide alarms. My daughter was awakened at 1 a.m. on Monday, right after Easter. We were all there for Easter, and at 1 a.m. they were awoken by their carbon monoxide alarms. She has like 5 gas leaks in her house, and that was my daughter, my son, and her husband, and my grandbaby in that house. So I'm very thankful for that.
I'm thankful for Josh, who treated me to a wonderful concert last night. Vanessa Collier is fabulous. I'm also thankful to the 29 agents who came to Capper Mastermind and all the good ideas they all shared. Oh my gosh, I took a page and a half, single line notes. It was wonderful. And then I'm thankful to any person that's going to volunteer to take me back to my office because my car is not here. After the meeting. So, thanks very much. All right.
Thanks in advance, Brad.
Yeah, thank you so much in advance. I appreciate it.
on a hat that says house down in Manti, the people that bought her house in Layton gave her 60 days to move out because she's a school teacher. She wants to finish out the school year. So she has 60 days. She sold her house in Layton, bought the house in Manti. She has 60 days to move from one to the other. It's going to time up just perfectly. She finishes the school year, retires to Manti, and she's off out of the city. Excellent. So, but it's fun, huh, to think about what is that number? How it's Josh's numbers that matter.
Yes, Josh. I just want, well, first of all, thank you for being coachable and taking action on that. But I really wanted to demonstrate what you guys had said about, I wanted to quit last year. Well, what's happened this year. And I can't tell you, how many times I've been working with people that are doing the right thing, but they don't do the right thing long enough to see where the results are. And so I think that mentioning that and maybe putting an emphasis on that is super important because you guys, what you're doing works. It just takes time on task over time on task over time before those results show up. So I appreciate your consistency in doing that.
Mathematically, that formula doesn't work.
No, but if it were all Marita, it would have.
Right?
And one thing to point out too, so 3 of our transactions this year have been from people that we haven't seen for a year to 2 years. Like they came on our rock trip a year ago and then called us because they wanted to buy their house. Or the other couple that came on, it's been a couple of years.
It's been longer than that. I don't think I've seen them since I had the rock shop and they came in. I had to cut some polish for them.
And we don't call them all every quarter because we have a database that's 2,500 people. We can't physically call them all. So we have them segregated out, but the deals that we're doing are coming from all across that whole database. So we call the ones we can. We love them all. We invite them all and are happy to have the relationships.
Thank you so much. We learned so much from that mastermind. One of the main things is analog is back. Create micro communities, create micro events with things that you enjoy doing and bring people into that. And that's how you're going to build your SOI. So, all right, here are our classes, the QR code to sign up. Today after team. And here she's here. Awesome. Linda, will you come up and talk about our cultural icon really quick?
And the blurb on your class.
And tell us about your class.
Which do you want me to do first?
Whichever.
Okay, let's talk about the class after the meeting. So how many of you have listings coming up? How many of you are working with buyers? How valuable would it be to you to know exactly how to price a house without having to use some cloud CMA software? I feel like pricing a house, if you're using some sort of software, while it could be valuable, it's kind of like using a calculator to do math. You can get the answer, but can you explain and articulate to your clients how you got there? So that's what we're going to be talking about after team meeting. So please join us. It should be a really good discussion. We're going to have it be kind of a mastermind style so that we can practice with real properties that you guys are working on right now. And the cultural icon? The cultural icon. So thank you to Anthony for that. That was really touching. And the person that I am giving the cultural icon award to is very dedicated to their business and shows up with a smile, has really great values, and really just exemplifies what it means to really want to hit your goals and be collaborative in the process. So I'm giving the cultural icon to Darren.
Already.
Oh.
Literally made me. Thank you, Linda.
All right, the date for Lee's listing presentations class has changed, and if you've never gone to one of Lee's classes, you better go because she knows what's up. I learned so much from her, so.
Or text me.
I think, so the QR code for KW Cares was wrong. So I'm gonna share my QR code to the Venmo here on my phone and after TV.
Yes,
Yeah,
so
that way.
if you would like to donate to our KW Cares, get with Jess right after team meeting, please. And then Thursdays from 3 to 4, we have Tech Lab with Jess. And Jess is amazing. She's a genius in all things. So go to her. Go to her.
A lot of people have had command questions and say they want a command class, so Thursday we will see you.
Yes.
I mean, it was, tell them previously on Tuesdays after team meeting, but the turnout was not great. And yet people continue to go to Jess for questions. So we're just trying to shift the day and time to see if maybe that will get more bodies. And it's every Thursday.
Yes. Broker moment.
Woohoo.
Have a moment. I know you guys like real life scenarios, so I have another one of Curtis's little lawsuit situations regarding seller's disclosures. So he has, it involves a seller not disclosing mold, improper plumbing, improper installed HVAC pipes, etc., done by a DIY home renovation. No permits were obtained by the seller, DIYer, resulting in defective work amounting to $150,000 in damages. The buyer filed a lawsuit against the seller for breach of contract, negligence, and fraud. So in just providing that extra step, extra value to your buyers, encourage them to maybe spend more time during that due diligence period to really look into things, be more thorough, verify permits, identify who performed the work. Has it all been paid for? You don't want any mechanics liens being recorded after you close on the property. And then as listing agents, just emphasize how much this seller's disclosure protects them in the long run. Listing agents should ensure sellers disclose all material defects relating to the remodel, including permits, contractors, known defects, even if the seller has not occupied the property. We know a lot of investors try to get away with this, right? Be sure the seller understands that even if the property is sold as is, that has nothing to do with disclosure law. Okay?
Ditto. Goes legal. What is your conversation like with the seller when they're filling out the seller's disclosure? What are you telling them?
This is for your protection.
This is for your protection.
Oh, thank
You never. God, I'm gonna coin that. Okay, here's the backstory. I'm old, obviously. And by the way, I'm old enough that Shane Polovoy's here, and some of you may know him, but he's back there. In the previous purchase contract, there was a paragraph that said, the plumbing, heating, air conditioning, ventilation systems shall be in sound or satisfactory working condition at closing, and the roof and foundation shall be free of leaks known to seller. That was a paragraph that was entitled seller warranties, and it survived closing. They took a look at the lawsuits between buyers and sellers in Utah, and 70-something% of the lawsuits tracked back to that paragraph. Our courts were clogged because of that paragraph. So when they did the rewrite of the purchase contract, they did what they wanted to do, which was protect the court. They removed that paragraph. Okay? It is a completely buyer beware document, no warranties, period. The only caveat, because that obviously benefited the seller, the only caveat to that was the seller is provided protection if they disclose anything that has a material issue on the property. Okay. So literally, the more your seller can say about the property, the more protected they are. Okay, the buyer has an opportunity. We have an agent very high up in the pecking thing too, that has a sibling who actually bought a property and started doing some remodel work and found some charred wood underneath the wall. Well, looking at it, it might have not made any structural issues, but it was charred wood. They reached out to the sellers and said, "Hey, what's with this charred wood?" And the seller said, "Well, yeah, that happened before us, but we had our people look at it and it doesn't make any difference. So my question is it the seller's role to make decisions for a buyer on what may or may not be important to them?" Okay, the seller said it didn't materially affect the property, so we didn't feel we needed to disclose it. If in fact it goes to court and it's found the other way, that was material misrepresentation, all of the protections of the purchase contract are then removed. And the seller can actually be found defending themselves against a broken doorknob, against a broken light bulb, against all protections are removed because of the material misrepresentation. If we can't count on you to tell the truth on that, how much weight do we put on the rest of the stuff? So, way to look at it. So again, it was done to protect the courts, but the sellers need to disclose to be protected. And we still have a lot of sellers that are making that decision, or the buyer will never know, or we can't, you can't prove it was us. But if you're involved in that conversation, you have as much role in that conversation as they do. Good. So, by the way, that was one start.
Thank you, Dave.
Oh, Danielle, our friend Danielle has a
Yes.
question. Well, let me, there's a, I just wanted, wow.
Just clarifying question. So it's like basically your seller could literally just say, unknown situation happened. There is a charred piece of wood we found in the attic or whatever. Just disclosing it's that. Yeah. It's not like you have to give a paragraph because you don't know.
Yeah, and that's the point. They denied they denied the buyer the right to check it out. Lindsay's buyer probably would have preferred a structural engineer review that charred woods rather than sellers who could have hired a handyman and said, "Yeah, it all looks good."
Yeah.
But they made a decision and then denied them the right for even looking at it, and that's where the disclosure part.
And another response was, there's no section in the seller's disclosures about fire. Oh, I said, but there's a section 29 for additional issues, right? So, yeah,
I think
a lot of
it aired for like a while.
Yeah.
Potentially, and then they don't disclose.
Right, and once again, denying them the right.
Yeah.
I mean, a buyer can take a look at the disclosures and say, "Oh, gee, they just have a basic finish, they took permits and all that kind of stuff," and then find out later that one permit is taken and nothing to do with the electrical in their house, subject to fire. They didn't get the opportunity to look at it, and so again, leading the buyer to some type of conversation which will allow him to investigate his satisfaction is okay.
Thanks so much. So, not the kind of fun we like to have in real estate, guys. So, disclose. All right. The time that you've been waiting for.
Mr. Negotiate.
Education for Mr. Flavio Orlandini. I can't even say our own last name. Negotiations. This one or gonna put a little bit.
Oh, that was. You can look up.
And if, yeah.
Not in the little one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, right here. It's brand new. You're a first user.
Yeah, don't break it.
Yeah, and they're easy to read.
Okay.
This is cool.
They're professional now.
Oh man, there's a lot of so I changed my mind again. If we can, only if it's still possible, put this page up. Yeah. So just wanted to. Yeah. So, we're gonna have a little disclaimer come up here in just a second. Yeah, that one. That's good. Thank you. We can leave it at that. First of all, this is exciting to be here, even though I may not sound excited. I am. It's a lot of anyways. But there's a benefit to having a lot of you, and I want to read this little disclosure that I prepared. Will make a little bit more sense. So it says, first, I want to start with a quick disclaimer. I do not claim to be a negotiation expert. Somebody else did. Lindsay just did it now.
It was me. I'm Lindsay.
And also, I'm not a formal trainer. So I tend to be a very analytical person. So a lecture style training is not necessarily my strongest format. Where I do feel comfortable is in a discussion setting. So the fact that a lot of you, I do expect a lot of discussions. It's a lot of you that are great negotiators and better negotiators than claim to be. I didn't claim that. But so I want everybody to share perspectives, analyzing different angles, and hopefully helping each of us improve our negotiation process. I like one of our core values, right? The win-win or no deal. Perfect. It is really about when if just one side wins, the other one doesn't, the likelihood of that deal going through is lessened. It can still happen, but it's lessened. The experience may not be great. Anyway, so in here, so each of you have this. We won't necessarily go through this. It's just for your note taking. We will maybe touch on some of these, I guess, items. And review them later. You can ask me questions later. You can draw some answers from here, take notes, whatever. But I mostly want to go over a couple of oh yes, thanks for getting those ready.
Oh, you want to use these? Oh, here we go.
But I do want to start off with just kind of going over these. Sorry, these are meant to be best practices. They're obviously, I forgot her name.
Marita.
Yeah, sorry. I like what you said. We do our business in so many different ways. We can implement this in so many different ways. But I do want to read this part. As a real estate professional, we're not just negotiating terms and numbers. We're not just informing the sellers or the buyers, our clients, right? All this is what they said, right? They don't need us to do just that. They can read what's on the piece of paper. We are negotiating an experience. So I want you guys to kind of keep that in mind as we're going through this process. And then we have a couple of things that I feel like will be super important when it comes to negotiating. We're negotiating the process, we're negotiating to have their confidence in us, confidence in the transaction, peace of mind, and the likelihood of getting it closed. Okay, so I will start off with a couple of questions. This is where the microphones will be ready for your answers. I am very comfortable with silence, so just keep that in mind.
Stand there until you say something.
This is accurate.
So, when does negotiation actually start? Or multiple answers, by the way. I don't think I have.
I think negotiations start when I'm taking the listing before we ever get an offer.
Perfect. 100% agree. What else?
Well,
Well, I was thinking of it from a buyer's perspective, the same thing, that as soon as I sit down and meet with a client, I'm setting expectations and we're having a conversation about what they want, what I want, and there's a give and take.
Awesome.
Maybe there's negotiating a time for the very first appointment.
Hey, I like that. Dang, this is going in order. It's awesome. This is my first one. I can try to bleed it, but one more. One more point, one more. Again, there's no right or wrong.
Well, I think the first negotiations with ourselves, as we're preparing.
Or you, there you go.
Yes. Like you said here, right, the preparation equals leverage.
Yes.
And you need to do a little internal, and then maybe with some safe on your side team cohort, you know, if you need to talk something through, that's how you're gonna negotiate strongest, is if you come clear.
Yes.
In your own mind.
Thank you. Anybody else? It's okay if not, we can move on, but thank you for that. These are awesome. So just to recap, doing a listing presentation or a buyer presentation, doing a showing as we go through the house, in preparation for with ourselves, right? As we are going to meet with those clients. I love it. Why is that so critical?
Leads to the best outcomes.
Sure does.
I think it sets the stage on what to expect, whether it's a seller or a buyer.
There you go. We do manage expectations, right? It is true that we do not make decisions for them, but we certainly influence those decisions, right? And how we come prepared to the appointments, whatever appointment that might be, it will set that expectation. So expectation management often determines whether negotiations stay productive. Okay. So who are the people we're negotiating? We already mentioned a couple, but let's point them out again. Who are the people that we're negotiating with or for?
Fine.
Okay. All this is made for sure. So clients, buyers, sellers.
Other agents that will represent the other side.
Other agents. That's critical, right? What else?
Maybe a rate or like with the lender.
A lender. Okay.
I was thinking other people in the transaction, like a home inspector or title.
Right. Absolutely. Yes. Like there.
You're negotiating with yourself too, because I see a lot of agents that will sort of race to the bottom and very, very quickly give away their own compensation.
100% agree. We're negotiating with ourselves. So yeah, so the point is that we're not just negotiating against the other team or against the other side, right? We're negotiating with ourselves, with our clients, you know, we're setting the expectations. So, okay. What are the main factors we actually negotiate? Price is an obvious one. Terms, definitely not the main one. I shouldn't say the main, definitely not the main one.
Expectations.
Expectations.
Dates.
Dates.
Permission.
Commissions.
Concessions.
Concessions. In your 60 example, right? We're negotiating possession. Right? What else? Are we missing anything else? I'm sure we are, but what are some other important factors? What is it? Repairs.
Inclusion.
Inclusions.
Inclusions excluded.
Great. Try to maybe. So, I mean, obviously, why is price not the only part of the negotiation, right? Because terms, all these terms that we're talking about, they will create a package value, right? So we can't just focus on a bottom line. Maybe the starting point, but it shouldn't be the only Um, what are some techniques or approaches that you guys use when negotiating all these different terms as far as, let's say an inspection? That's probably an easy one that comes to mind. Let's say the buyer comes up with, I don't know, 15 items to be picked by the seller, and now you represent the seller. What are some of the different techniques that you use?
Well, I set the expectations first. Okay. So when we set the appointment for the appraisal, I always talk to my buyers about what we're looking for. We're looking for major items, not, oh, they just happen to have a loose doorknob on a cabinet that is not worth fighting for. We want to fight for the things that are going to mean something. Also, I always let them know that every home is built. A year later, codes change. And no seller is going to bring every home up to code. You find a 20-year-old home, it's going to have a ton of things that have to be brought up to code. So you do that as you replace the item. If you replace a water, okay, now you bring it up to code. So we look for, structural issues, leaks, those kind of things, mold or radon. I set that expectation from the beginning.
Even before the inspection?
Yes, before they do it. Yep.
So let me go with that for a little bit, and then I want somebody else to kind of share on the seller side, but on the buyer side, right? So we have that expectation, and they get that inspection report. Now they see a book of houses fall apart, we're all gonna die, right? So obviously we already set the expectation, but then their reality kind of kicked in. If you don't mind sharing a little bit more, how do we go back to that?
Well, we stay on the list of the things that we were looking for. Okay. So, and they just pretty much discard the other things. If there were a lot, they might ask for a small reduction in price, but I try to tell them, we need to look at it from the seller side too. If you were selling this house, are you gonna repair every little ridiculous item that the buyer asks for? That's a way to probably have a sale fail.
Yeah. So I like what you're bringing up, right? Bringing up all these questions to help our clients think about what's the outcome of us doing this, pushing for this, right? That may not be realistic to get the seller to fix every single little item. Mr. Buyer, if this was your house, you most likely wouldn't want to be fixing every single
But
item.
we've all had a buyer's agent do that, right? Then you're like, are you crazy?
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Now, what about on the seller side? Or before we go on the seller side, any other input on the buyer side for this one example? Yeah.
Daniel.
Maybe I'm answering the question wrong, but I guess at the beginning when you were talking, what came to my mind is how to be a good, asking a lot of open-ended questions is kind of what I try to do, listen really well, and then when it comes up to the time to, advise, I can do that. But I think finding out what's most important to my buyer or seller, those questions. So listening really well, asking open-ended questions applies to the same situation negotiating with an agent. But I feel like helps me stay calm. It helps me stay I feel a little more in control of what's happening and not getting too involved in a heated, especially situation potentially. But sorry, that was maybe
No, that's great. I appreciate that because asking a lot of questions, it will help us get to manage that expectation, right? Because as we're asking questions, rock on. As we're asking questions, right? Obviously, we're getting to help our clients see a different perspective that maybe they weren't thinking of when you bring up, what would the seller do? Helping them see a different perspective. Because sometimes we'll come in, well, we gotta negotiate, and then even in our either listing presentation or buyer presentation, we're talking about we're great negotiators. We may potentially be raising the bar of that expectation. I agree it's necessary for us to be able to impress our potential clients, but at the same time, we do need to be careful as to, oh yeah, negotiate everything we ask, we're gonna get it. It may not be a realistic expectation, right? Okay, on the seller side, on the same example that we're talking about. What are some, so the seller receives that list of 3,000 items in there that needs to be fixed, right? So how do we help our seller? What are some questions that we can ask? What are some strategies that you guys use that we can help our sellers see this through so then we can not kill the deal as a seller?
I find if we go upstream just a little bit, it's helpful. Because in the pricing conversation, an example, we had this little cottage, we knew we were pricing to sell, we had due diligence, they came with requests, this is obviously very simplified. And they said, Melanie, we already feel like we're, giving them a pretty good deal here. And I went back to that buyer's agent and I said, all right, friend, this is where we're at. Our feet are set, your buyer gets to choose. We didn't make any of the repairs, but they still wanted the property at the price. And I think it comes, if you're going for top dollar, you can probably expect about more negotiating and due diligence. So I think on the seller side, it's a little different.
Yes. What else? I like it because you're correct. Sometimes, know what I've got, right? But as long as you know what we've got.
But the permission to say no, you don't have to give. You don't have to give more here, right? Like, I think it came, they felt like they had to, and me as an agent said, no, the way I see it, they've asked for X, Y, Z, and you can either hold your position, we have a contract in place, you can give.
Yeah.
What do you want to do? And they said, is that permissible, right? Of course it is, and that's how it worked out.
Yeah, and that's beautiful too, how you presented that to the agent, right? I know you didn't elaborate on that very much, but I imagine that you've already established a good conversation with that agent from day one, right? Yeah. But being able to communicate that to the agent in a way that
was received well.
Right.
Yeah.
Emotions weren't like, you're unreasonable. And won't get us anywhere, right? Thank you. Yeah, sorry.
And you had said that price is not everything, but price does set the stage. So I'm glad you brought that up, because I do have buyers who feel like, hey, we're paying top dollar. We have some expectation of being able to get a few asks in there as well. So I feel like the price does play into it, the way she described it easily.
Yeah.
So one of the things I try to remind my sellers of is that this may not be a buyer's request. This is going to be every buyer is going to request this. This is double tapping, not allowed. Whatever this is, there are some things that are probably going to have to be fixed no matter who comes, because their instinct is to not want to love the buyer. That it's that buyer's fault, not we could wait for another buyer, but every buyer's going to ask for that double tapping. And then the little other things that are personal, I try to say, okay, maybe we can take these away and not do these because that's something the buyer wants. It wasn't something we offered to begin with.
Right. It's again helping, like please express it, right? It's helping, it's putting a different perspective in their minds, right? So then they can understand that it not be what this buyer wants. So perspective, thank you.
The other conversation that I sometimes am having with on either side is that on one end of the spectrum, I'm not doing anything, and on the other end of the spectrum is I'm doing everything, and somewhere in between there is where you are going to draw a line. That's where you are willing to be, and the buyer on the other side will draw a line. And ideally, we are the same line.
Right.
Where what you're willing to do is what they're willing to accept, and now our deal is gonna stay together. And you have to know that the risk, and that's another word I like to use on both sides, the risk is that if you say, I want all of these, that the seller is going to say, no, I'm not going to do anything. And so we have to find an area where the risk is low, that we're gonna still be able to keep the deal together.
Absolutely, that risk, we may risk what, as a buyer, as a seller, whatever we're risking.
So win-win or no deal is one of my favorite Y4 CGTs, and I try to keep that in mind in any negotiation. And most of the time that works. Then there are those other ones where nobody's going to be happy. And then I don't remember where I heard this quote, but I heard this quote that said it's not a real negotiation until both parties feels like they're getting screwed. And so understanding that in that instance, it is understanding where that line in the sand is for each party and getting to that path as painlessly as possible. But allowing them to know that it's okay for them not to be happy with the outcome. However, it's an outcome that they're okay with.
Yeah, thank you. So with that, unless somebody else has another comment, any other comments? What Laura said, right? So there are a couple of things as we're trying to help our clients, you know, see a different perspective, see it from a different angle, see it from a way that, yeah, it's not exactly how I want it, but it's still a winning situation, still a doable situation, still a survivable situation, right? What are some of the things that perhaps we say that help that perspective, and perhaps a couple of things that we say that may not help that perspective? I want to point that out just to kind of improve as we're communicating with our clients. Some do's and don'ts.
One of the things I'll often remind my seller of is, if you were buying the house right now, would you be okay with double tapping on your electrical panel? Would you be okay with that, or would you really expect? You don't worry about buyers and selling. So trying to put them in the other side's shoes does seem to help the job.
Thank you. Okay, what are some other phrases that we say that will help? Sometimes may not necessarily be helpful. You probably haven't noticed we've said something, lines like, oh, makes sense.
Can't remember if it's already been said, but during the inspection itself, with like, I know who my inspector is, I know what they always paint. I know, like, I have one guy, he's always big on caulking, or he's always gonna point this out, so I kind of prep my buyer before we even go into the sellers, so I'm prepping them along and letting them know they're not God, they're just gonna find the things out, so I'm just kind of softening the blow when they know they come in, so they kind of have already an expectation that he's gonna call out a lot of things. So that when we go into the negotiation, just find, like, I think so it's just the red flags. And so they're prepped and they're ready, and they start hearing the same lectures and the verbiage that they already been using, so that they're kind of prepared, so they're not nearly as shocked, especially first time home buyers.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Along those same lines, part of my buyer consultation is to give the buyers a copy of an inspection report that is not their own. When we talk about the due diligence period, they're able to see that an inspection report is always going to come with pages and pages and pages of bad news. This doesn't mean that it's a loving property. This is what we look through. This is why we look for the red flag issues, the situations that would make it so even if the seller would fix this, you wouldn't want to buy the property. Second thing that we look for is the primary safety and functionality issues. And by seeing that on a report that isn't their own, there's less emotional attachment to it. And I find the buyers give us a shorter list when they do their own inspection.
I want to talk about that emotional attachment just a little bit.
I've got a question for everybody that's an agent here. If you've ever represented a seller and the buyer comes to you with a page of repairs,
and you keep trying to have them understand the buyer's perspective, how often do you cross that line where they think, well, maybe you should be having them understand my perspective? And how do you handle that?
Well, you have to, if you're dealing with the engineer. Engineers are gonna give you like a spreadsheet with everything on it, and so you just have to understand the personality of the seller or the buyer, and if the seller's offended by that, just, you have to, say, hey, this is what they're asking for. Again, you're not required to do these repairs, but this is what they're asking for. And when I've been on the buyer side and they're an engineer, they'll ask, I had one guy ask for 117 things, and then we pared it down to 4. So you just have to work through the personalities sometimes and know what their personalities are. Some people don't care at all. They're like, oh, fix one thing and we're good. Or I've had people just not really care because they feel they can deal with it. So you're understanding their personalities as well and explaining that maybe if you're on the list side to the seller.
That's awesome.
I think that's really great that Lori said, nobody's required to do anything. Seller, Mr. Seller, you're not required to do any of this. However, if you don't, are you prepared to let the buyer walk? Mr. Buyer, they're not required to do anything. However, if they don't do these repairs, are you prepared to walk? And I feel like taking away the cookie. If you can like present an example in which they're going to lose out on the property and will lose out on selling the property, you find out where their line is.
And I think also that many of those items may become disposable issues after somebody's had an inspection on the property. So I think making the seller aware of that also.
True. Yeah, different perspective to look at. What else?
I would say that you should go through that inspection report with the buyer or with the seller if you can, right? And then go look at the items. You're representing somebody here, and I've been caught where I didn't, right? And I gave their inspection report that I got them to buy, and they didn't ever look at it, and they held it against me. That there were some items in there that they didn't see and that they had to deal with after they bought it.
Yeah. I love the idea of, kind of helping them see what's at stake, right? What's the worst that can happen? Move the buyer, reset. As the buyer, what's the worst that can happen? Doesn't work out. Back to shopping for homes, back to another inspection report, back to another process like this with a different seller. I like those perspectives, right? Also like, we'll kind of mention this a little bit, finding a way to say a yes. Doesn't necessarily mean we're gonna give away the farm, or we're gonna do exactly everything that the other party is asking, right? But I do believe as we find the win-win approach, right? We'll find something. All right, I can't do 117 things, right? But I can do 4 of them. Do a yes, right? That's still or so many items, and I will not going to do anything but help the other side see what it's already reflected in the price. Some sort of a yes to keep that engagement, keep that transaction going. Like that's where we can probably, have that win be realized with that current transaction that we're working on. Couple of things really fast. We talked about, learning their personality types and talking about heated discussions and getting our emotions in. And we've got to be super careful with that because it can, if we have this bad conversation with the other agent, and we're like, I'm going to show them, I'm going to tell client this and that. And so that can really derail the deal super fast because of our heated conversation just from agent to agent sometimes, or from agent to an inspector, or from agent to a lender, or, as we are getting to this part where the emotions come in, that's a risky part of the negotiation process. What I'm proposing is that we obviously keep that in check so we don't be the ones that are derailing a transaction because of our personal agenda, right? So just the final takeaways here, at the end of the day, we're not just negotiating price, terms, or confidence. We are negotiating that entire experience, as I said in the beginning. How we make our clients feel, the major impact on how the negotiations progress, how clearly we guide them, whether they feel protected, whether they feel heard, over the process felt calm, strategic for our clients. It really is up to us to be able to get to that. In this packet that you guys have, it breaks down a couple more things in there, a couple more do's and don'ts, a couple more things to say, things not to say. Take a look at it. Whether we can share your best practices. We appreciate your guys'.
Thanks, Bob. All right, is Amir here? Amir, did you get your coffee?
I got my coffee.
Yay, you beat.
Yeah. Kim taught me in the elevator and I was like, help me, please. Yeah. Go like this.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the clicker?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. How does it work?
Yeah, you just click the.
Okay, I'm gonna go over really fast because you guys are hungry, but we have something super cool to show you, okay? But this is kind of where we are in the market right now. It's interesting because we've been talking about what's happening with oil prices and how it's moving the market and rates are gonna go higher, but rates have actually kind of stabilized. We're a little bit higher than we were before, but they pretty much stabilized. The 10 years pretty much stabilized, mortgage-backed securities pretty much stabilized. This morning, oil prices are $116 a barrel. This is the highest they've gone through this war. And it's like, well, why are rates not going higher? If oil's going, that's what they told us. Like, oil's going to go higher, everything's going to go to crap, rates are going to go higher. Well, this is kind of what it is. So in the beginning, we were looking on that other, on the left side, where inflation is really the worry about higher oil prices. And that's why rates went higher, because inflation was really the big concern. But as this continues to happen and as oil prices go up, we're actually looking at kind of a global slowdown and maybe a recession. In fact, the last few recessions that we've had in the last 100 years, if oil prices jump by 100% in a short period of time, that triggers typically a recession. And this morning, we hit the marker that we are 100% increase in the last 40 days since this war kind of started, right? We were about $60 a barrel. Now we were hitting 120, we're coming down a little bit. So that is a big sign of an economic slowdown. Of course, if you're watching the news, there's like a clock ticking right now. We won't get into all that. It's kind of scary, but we're not going to do what we can't control. We're going to focus on what we can control, right? So the benefit from this is rates will probably actually continue to go lower as this continues moving. And with that in mind, we're trying to build some things that are going to help you. So come talk to us about this later if you want to know more details. I wanted to do a. Am I doing? Oh, I pressed the wrong button. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, this is just intro to our team. If you haven't met Crystal before, where's she?
I'm right here.
If you haven't met Crystal before. Crystal is the one that's sitting in this office. Crystal's been licensed for 20 years. 20 years in the mortgage industry.
So.
Yeah. She came out of her mom's womb and became a loan officer. So she's closed roughly 1,176 transactions that she's personally originated. Okay? That's a real number. All right? This is a crazy amount of experience, all right? She has a really cool Homes for Hero program. She used to be a nurse, and she likes giving back to the community. The Homes for Hero program, we actually give back from our commission to help with veterans, teachers, doctors, policemen, firemen, and anybody else that I can't really think of. She's been with us a couple of years, and she's been here in the office for about a year now, and she wants to tell you how cool she is.
Good. It's lunchtime.
So if you haven't met Crystal yet, take a minute because She really is a rock star. She is a really rock star, and she can help. All right. It's Q2, and I promised you guys something special for second quarter. Okay, so we're launching a new product today. It's called What's My Payment? Now, this is all revolving around you guys that do a lot of listings. Everything that we build around is for the buyer side of the transaction. For the listing side of the transaction, we're actually going to give a discount to anybody that comes and buys your listing. That means they can go into the system, they can pull a quote without talking to a loan officer, and that quote will be a discounted quote. If you scan the QR code and you want to try it yourself, you can. It'll go through a system, it'll just ask you. It's only for your property. So you actually have to pick the property as you're doing this. You can't just do it for randomly. You have to really select the actual property, and those properties are going to be your guys' properties, okay? This is what it kind of looks like. After you scan the QR code, it goes into here, it asks you for your address. You put in the address, it asks you some questions, about 6 questions. It comes to the next page, it gives you the rates immediately. It tells you your rates that cost some points, a rate that has a credit, kind of a par rate that you're not paying anything. Then if you want to get a full quote, you go into the next step, you have to put in your information, and then it'll actually give you a quote. And you can download the quote as a PDF, or you get it via email. We get notified immediately of a lead capture for you. We call you about a person that's interested in buying the property. Sometimes these people are not actually working with an agent yet, so we'll actually move that listing, that lead to you, so you can contact them as well after we get them approved for you. And this is a discounted rate versus what they would see on the market. Usually about 0.25% lower on the rate, 2 to 3 it's lower on the rate versus what if they just went to some random bank. We're discounting our commission, and we're giving a discount loan to help you guys sell your properties. We created these cool riders that can go on your realtor signs underneath. There's also bigger ones you could put in the grass or stuff like that. In general, this is a newer product, so come talk to Crystal if you have a listing that you want to get into the system. We have to upload it. Everybody, almost all your listings are uploaded automatically. We're going to remove the ones that don't want to be on it. I don't know why you wouldn't want to, but if you don't want to, we're going to remove it. So you're going to get some information emailed to you if you have an active listing saying, hey, would you like us to continue? Would you like us to put a rider out? What would you like us to do to help you continue what you're doing? This is also great for open houses. If you have an open house, you can print out the quote immediately. You don't have to wait for Tori or Crystal or myself to prepare it for you. You can go in there, get the quote ready, have a quote that has 5%, 10%, 20%, whatever you need. It's all there for you. Okay, so come talk to Crystal or Tori, and we'd love to share it with you. Here's sorry. Here's where our rates are right now. You can see we're teetering. We came a little bit down, so these are with buy downs. You can see the APRs are higher, but conventional is at 5.99. We can still do a 5.99. We're in that realm. We're still at that low 6s. If you wanted not a lot of points, you're probably on 6.3. FHA still really aggressive at 5.5, and so is VA. So rates are still really good. Don't let the mumbo jumbo that you're hearing in the news scare your buyers out. It's really a good time to take advantage. We're seeing a lot of activity. Let us know how we go.
Thank you so much. I love learning the numbers from Luminary and also Josh every week. They help me have really good conversations with our clients because we are kind of in a bubble, an economic different bubble here in Utah. So thanks, you guys. Happy birthday to our April birthdays. Did we read the names? I don't even know, friends.
Probably not today.
Yeah, we're running late, so
Happy
birthday. Let's clap for everyone. Happy birthday.
Woo!
Any wants and needs really quickly. Wants and needs. Val has a want or a need.
I have a buyer.
Here, Lindsay, you go while she's running.
Okay, yeah. I have an out-of-state buyer. I mentioned this last week. They said up to 1.7 on a bench. Now they're up to 2 million. So if you have a property coming up to the bench, great view, or just secluded, half acre or such, please let me know.
I have a buyer. We are looking for a large, open, spacious layout, room for family and visitors, at least a 3-car garage. They want either a pool or space to put a pool, mature trees, and they want views. They don't care if it's views of the cities, views of the mountains, whatever. They just don't want to look out the window and see other houses. Anywhere basically between Draper and Bountiful, and they're looking up to 2 million.
We've got a new listing in Draper that just went live. If you need 6 bedrooms under 800,000, you should probably go see this. It's a really cute house, has great views of them mountains right there. Yeah, 6 bedrooms, 3 baths, 800,000. I'm gonna let them do the rest.
We have a listing in Lehigh that is live, just went live about 20 minutes ago. It is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath finished rambler on the main with a finished family room in the basement, room for 2 more bedrooms and plumb for another bathroom. Cute community. The HOA is $7.50 a month. And it's priced at $550. And then we have one in West Jordan that's going to go live tomorrow. It is also a rambler. It is 4 bedrooms, 2 baths, 2-car garage. That one's going to hit the market at $450.
I've got a property coming up in Rose Park, really clean, updated, about 1,500 square feet, 4-bed, 2-bath, carport, and it'd be at $440. Imagine that.
Got one in Sugar House off of I-80 and 11th East. It's gonna be about 750, 775. It's like 2,200 feet, 2-car garage, nice yard, all updated. So let me know if you're interested in the next couple weeks before we land.
Okay. Our preferred partner today, Old Republic Home Protection. Thank you so much.
Don't get so excited, everybody. It's only another home warranty company. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Okay, so it's like I woke up in meditation and I knew we were talking about listings and negotiation because I'm here to talk about listings and negotiations. So let me ask you a question. How many of you with the raise of hands use or know what listing coverage is? Okay, I want 3 points. What's one good point about listing coverage and why you use it? First point.
Protect your sellers during the listing period.
Perfect. I need another one.
Additional leverage point in competing for the listing.
There you go. Third, one more. How does it help your listings? It helps save your sellers money if something breaks. And you're coming to the listing, you're giving them an opportunity to say, hey, if you list with me, I'm giving you this listing coverage. How many agents can get listing coverage? How many agents actually use it? Raise your hand if you actually really use it on all your listings. Yeah, look at that, you guys. How many agents are you up against that aren't using it? So listing coverage is free. It is offered by most home warranty companies, but coverage still matters. All right. And I'll go over my coverage at the end, but it was interesting because this morning when I was coming in here, I actually got a call from a buyer and they had called me the other day for a home warranty and they were asking me about coverage and how to utilize home warranties in their inspection reports, which I love inspection reports. I'm an inspection report guru. I've been in this business 30 years. I've seen a lot of crazy stuff. So, number one, if you have an inspection report you want me to read and advise you on from the home warranty side, please ask your buyer if you can release it to me and I'm happy to give you my advice. Everyone happy with that? Woo! Right? Yay, someone free to help you out. Okay, second of all, the buyer says, hey, the HVAC system is 27 years old, but they said it, kind of iffy, but it's still working. And that really bothers us. And then we also have a water heater that is 17 years old. And I laughed because I said it'll probably last another 10 years. But they said, and we're really nervous about that. So what we want to do is we want to ask the seller to go ahead and replace those 2 things. How many of you are actually going to go to your sellers as a listing agent and say, hey, the buyer wants you to put in a new $10,000 HVAC system and a new $3,500 water heater. How's that going to go in your negotiation? Yeah, it's not. It's not going to go. So we will cover it. I said, please don't worry, you're getting a home warranty. We will cover it. It doesn't matter how old it is, right? If it breaks down, and then I went over like some out-of-pocket costs that no other reps go through, and I can go through that with you at another time. But the bottom line is I did advise him, I am not your real estate agent. However, would you like my advice as your home warranty rep? Why would I say it that way? Protect myself, because I'm not you. I'm not here to be you. Okay, that's your job. But my job is to say I had 10 years worth of experience understanding how the seller thinks. And they're probably not going to get you all that stuff for free, you know, as part of the negotiation. So what you need to do is ask your agent to negotiate 2 years of coverage. And what do you think the buyer said? Yeah, he said, oh, that's an option? Yes, it's in my 20-page brochure that nobody ever reads, because who's ever going to read that, right? I actually have a 2-hour CE class on how to read those things because they're impossible. But so he was super excited, and he said, well, if they're not going to do what, and I said, you and your agent negotiate what you guys want to negotiate, but utilize that 2 years as a backup. Seller comes to you and says, there's no way, God's green earth, I'm going to give you all that new stuff. Then you come back and say, then can you give me 2 years so I feel covered and I feel confident about buying this home that has older systems. So that's one way to use your listing, your buyer's coverage. And then the second thing is if you had the listing, let's say I had another buyer call and you had listing coverage on it. You did the inspection and the inspection came back that the dishwasher didn't work. What do you do if you have listing coverage? You put in a claim to your home warranty company. However, you don't say, what don't you say? We had an inspection done and it says the dishwasher isn't working. Do not say those words to any home warranty company ever. That is my job to advise you on how to speak to home warranty companies. So by getting the home warranty listing involved, you now have some coverage to help them with the dishwasher. Let me tell you how ORHP helps you with your listing coverage, because coverage does differ from company to company and cover. So you really need to know what you're getting. With my listing coverage, it is free for plumbing, electrical, garage door systems. Okay. The HVAC will cost you $70. But what you get with your plumbing is no limit. What you get with your electrical is no limit. What you get with your water heater is $5,000. What you get with your garage door systems is no limit. And what you get with your HVAC is $1,500. I guarantee you, none of my competitors are going to match that. So if you're going to choose listing coverage, which now I hope you all do and put it in your presentation, contact me. My information is in the back. Okay. I'll help you succeed. I'll help you put it in your listing presentation, understand how to talk about it, understand how to utilize it, right? Because it really does matter. I mean, if we can save your homeowner $2,500 on a new water heater, do you think you've actually gained that client for the rest of your life? Yeah, relationships matter in this business, and I'm here to help you with yours. So if you haven't tried me yet, please do. For those of you using me, I love you so much, and thank you so much for all of your business. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
All right, before we break for lunch, our positive culture icon is Ruger Lilyquist. Yeah, so cute. I don't know who's got who's
That's Melanie Lilyquist stock. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks, guys.
Ooh. Nice job, Kim.